Maybe the faith was like someone telling me, Jennifer, get your fucking ass out of this car and stand on the side of the road. And by the way, don't fall down that little, whatever you want to call it. Let your husband do this on his own because he's good at it without you telling him what to do. Let's just take it as that, right? Then that situation, God helps those who help themselves. I helped my own ass on out of that car and said to Brad, you go do your thing and you pick me up right here when you're done turning that damn car around, because I had to have faith that he was going to get it done. Hi, I'm Jennifer Janish, owner of Adored Salon and Adored Signature Hand-Tied Hair Extensions. I'm obsessed with curly hair. I cut it, style it, and extend it, and this podcast is all about my curly girl obsessions that stretch far beyond just curly hair. Hey there, it's me, Jennifer, from the Curly Girls Obsessions, which you are either watching right now on YouTube or listening on Apple or Spotify podcasts. Either way, I'm super grateful that you tune in and listen to the things that I have to share, either one about life, motivation, business, growing your brand, all the things, and sometimes a little bit about curly hair too. So today we're going to talk about life. I am married to my high school sweetheart. His name is Brad. Maybe one day he'll be on here. I don't know. He's not like one to overly share anything. So I guess I'm really stretching when I say that. Regardless, this weekend we had a date night. We went to dinner at this super cute Italian restaurant that we love, and then we went and saw a movie. Now, preface this movie with the fact that I had worked 9 hours on Saturday. I've been waking up at 5 a.m. So I was kind of nervous because the movie we went to see was the Odyssey. If you've seen the Odyssey or you've heard about the Odyssey, you probably know the Odyssey is like 3 hours long. I was a little bit nervous how I was going to last through this movie after working all day and then eating a delicious Italian meal of pasta and meatballs. I was so full, and you know how it is these days. You go to the movie theater, you get in that cozy recliner. I had on a cozy sweater, I brought some cozy socks, and so anticipating. I was surprisingly energetic, and and I laugh about that because if you've ever been with me in a day in the salon, you know how crazy it can be. So regardless, we start watching this movie. Now, honestly, I had no idea what to expect. I knew it was about Greek mythology. I never had to read the Odyssey in high school because I was not in a literature class. I did the bare minimum. English 101 and English 101.5. Like when I tell you that, I was not reading these big books in high school, and it's not because I couldn't. I love to read. It just, English was not my thing. And probably in high school, Greek mythology was also not my thing, okay? I kind of was bored then by history, and it's only been being married to my husband that I have started to fall in love with history. So, and he's also a sci-fi guy too. So that tends to be the movies that he likes to see. So we sit back, take in this movie, and I gotta tell you, this movie was kind of a stressful watch. I did not fall asleep. I stayed awake, and it was so interesting watching this. I don't even think I could say his name right. You know, the Odyssey is about the Trojan War, and I think his name is Odysseus. I think that's how you pronounce it. And his ability to lead his army, right, through so many different battles. And obviously, we all do know what the Trojan War was, right? So, and you're seeing all these things happen, and his strong belief in what he needed to accomplish. And then, after they won the Trojan War, their way back home was hard. And I guess I never really thought about this, but how did those ships that were massive get through the water? Like, they didn't have GPS, they only had a compass, and hopefully the compass was working, right? Like, I don't know, they got lost. They got lost for like 10 years, right? Actually, I think he was lost for like 20, to be honest. But like, the crew got lost for a long time, and then they would stop on these various islands, and they would encounter some crazy ass thing that would send me into a tailspin of stress, right, as I would watch. But what was so interesting, surprise, surprise, I couldn't help but relate it to life in general and just the challenges that we face. And, I think, no, I know, like, what just interested me so much was the one statement that character, Odysseus, makes throughout the entire movie is he says, God will help those who help themselves. God will help those who help themselves. Now, I'm not a holy roller. I will tell you, I love yoga class more than a morning in church. Don't judge me for it. It's just kind of like spiritually, I connect to myself or to a higher power through a yoga class. I love it. And probably because I wasn't raised going to church, I don't love church. Sometimes if I go and sit in church, am I moved? Yes. Sometimes songs bring me to tears. Sometimes some of the things that they say really make an impression on me. Same with my yoga class. There's some teachers who teach yoga that just give you a good frame of reference and a story that goes along with everything you're doing, that keeps it inspirational and keeps you, like, I don't even know how to phrase it, like spiritually grounded or possibly elevated, right? But that term, God helps those who help themselves, I just could not stop thinking about it. Like, well, and because he kept repeating it, every time that someone within his army would lose faith, he would say it to them. Every time that it seemed like they were at their bleakest moments, he would say it. And in life, how do we get from A to B when the shit's really heavy in between? Is that I guess you got to have faith in something, in a higher power than yourself or than just the obvious, right? Because we wouldn't dream big and we wouldn't take risks if we didn't believe that there was a higher power helping us through, right? Recently, I had this conversation with one of my sisters, and we were talking about both of our personalities. And she's like, well, you're such a bigger risk taker than me. And I'm like, but am I? And I've heard this so much throughout, I would say, probably since I opened the salon, that a lot of people will say that to me, like, well, you're a big risk taker. You're, you like to take risks. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm really afraid of heights. And I can't even sit in the car and be up high because I'm scared to death. Funny story, my husband and I, we were in Nashville, and we drove outside of the city because we love Tennessee, and we weren't even in the mountains. To Tennessee people, we were in the hills. And we were driving on this road, and it was like, the road was so shady, it only fit one car. And the kicker was that on the side that wasn't like the hillside, it was just a straight edge drop off, right? And to be totally fair, scared the shit out of me. And it got to the point on this road, like we were trying to drive in down towards this lake, right? And it got to the point where another car came and I started like freaking out, like literally having a racing heart, right? And I'm like, oh my God, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? And him and the other car basically came to a stop before they passed, like a stop where they were like side by side because it was so treacherous and so scary. The car passes. I say to my husband, that's it. I'm getting out of this car and I'm going to go stand over there and I'm going to put my back to you so that you can turn this car around without me in it. Where was my faith in that moment? Like I was taking care of myself, I guess, and letting my husband figure out himself. Like I was like, both of us are not going down on the side of this little hill over here, which to me, the hill, again, it looked like a mountain, right? And so I got out of the car and I did exactly what I told him I was going to do. I walked over, I turned my back to him, and he turned the car around, and I got back in, and all was good and fine, and we drove back up to where we came from, right? And so maybe my faith was that he could do it better if I wasn't in the car bossing him around and gasping for air and nearly throwing up while he was turning it around. Maybe the faith was like someone telling me, Jennifer, get your fucking ass out of this car and stand on the side of the road. And by the way, don't fall down that little whatever you want to call it. Let your husband do this on his own because he's good at it without you telling him what to do. Let's just take it as that, right? Then that situation, God helps those who help themselves. I helped my own ass on out of that car and said to Brad, you go do your thing and you pick me up right here when you're done turning that damn car around, because I had to have faith that he was going to get it done. He got it done, right? We got out, we were fine, nothing happened. But that's where my brain says like, oh, hell no, I'm not a risk taker. Like my biggest fear is heights and I cannot overcome this. And you could tell me like, you got to force yourself to go up. No, I don't even feel like I need to overcome this fear at all. The scarier part about that fear is that it actually gets worse the older that I get. In my town, we have, of course we have highways, whatever, but there's this bridge that goes over I think the highway is 355 you're on, that goes over another highway called 88, and when you're on this bridge you feel like you're almost in heaven. And I have a really big truck that sits up really high, and this is where I'm telling you, like, this fear just keeps getting bigger and bigger as that I get older. When I drive over that bridge, I am white knuckling it onto my steering wheel as if I'm going to fall off. There is no way my truck is falling off that bridge. My truck is so heavy. The sides of it are so like, you get the gist, right? So people tell me I'm a risk taker. I'm like, gosh, I just really don't think I am. And my sister's like, well, you take a lot more risks with money than I ever would. And you're pretty confident that you're going to be able to make it work. And that is one thing that I am a good risk taker at, because I've always been able to work my ass out of any problem. Because I just can deliver results with what I do, right? But again, God helps those who help themselves. So if you constantly believe that you could do something, unlike my fear of being afraid of heights, but like my thought process on business and the hair salon or the hairline, like I'm always going to figure a way to make it work. I can double down and work really hard when needed. And I'm not afraid of doing that, like ever. So there in turn, I am okay with that. And if that's what makes me a risk taker, then I guess that's what makes me a risk taker. Like, and I guess too, the other part is that I'm not afraid of failing in the sense that we're all gonna fail, and there's always a way out of it. There's always a way out of it, right? Like, only the first 60 to 90 seconds of a problem that you think that you've failed on is the hardest part of the failure. The rest of it is a learning lesson if you take it in stride in such a way, right? And again, God helps those who help themselves. I hope I don't sound like a preacher, but that line just stuck out to me so well in this movie, was that in the situation of failure, if you can help yourself by finding the light in the wrongdoing that happened, you're going to succeed in the future. You're never going to freaking make that mistake again, right? Like, and God is helping you get to the other side of that. And if you're willing enough to open yourself up to be vulnerable, to see what you did wrong, but to see what now that it's giving you and making light of, so that you can do it better the next time, you'll, like I said, you'll never fail at that again. And I believe this so strongly. Like, anyone on my team could tell you, because I've said it to them, like, you know, when something has happened and things have gone sideways and they're, you know, come to me, they're scared, they're nervous, and I'm like, okay, well, what are we going to do to fix this? Because I'm not going to tell them what to do to fix it, right? Like, that just wouldn't be it wouldn't be a good mentor. It wouldn't be a good growth moment. So I asked them, okay, well, how do we fix this? They tell me their solution. That's usually where I'll intervene if I don't agree, or if I think that things could be done a little bit better, or I'll even ask questions that'll pry a little bit to make them think differently about the situation as a whole. Because if I'm not 100% involved in the situation, I can see the parameters around it a little bit better than when someone's stressing and in the situation, right? And so then when we figure it out and everything goes right and we reconvene and we discuss it again, I'm like, okay, well, you made that mistake once. Now you know you're never going to make it again. And they're like, yeah, 100%, never going to make it again, right? It's not like a 2-year-old toddler that just has to keep falling down in order to figure out how to get back up, right? Like, now we're older. We know that. We're not going to do that. And they, again, have helped themselves to see a better outcome, to figure out a solution, to understand a better consultation so that it's not going to happen again. And therefore, it's done. And we all learned from it. Sometimes I really learn from their mistakes too. You know, like when you're sitting there and you say, gosh, I never thought of it in that way. Or, you know, I just never thought that would even happen, right? So the experiences that I'll encounter in any one given day sometimes can feel like the stressful islands that Greek, I don't know if he's a god or what, but his name is, again, do I say it right, Odysseus. Every time that him and his army would land on that stressful island and have to deal with whatever was coming their way, and they lost some crew along the way, right? Because basically they were taken out. Thank God that's not happening in real life around me. But he led them into battle, and the ones that kept following him and understanding his belief and his drive to get to where he wanted to go survived. But then the minute that they faltered off of course, something bad happened to them. And it was kind of crazy. You're kind of like, yep, well, he has his belief to keep going. He is so strong in it. He's going to keep saying his statement. God helps those who help themselves. God helps those who help themselves and who stay out of the way of evil and can see past it and figure out their next move so that they're going to get to point A, from A to B, right? I hope I'm making sense, because there was so much in that movie to take away from that. It was so much more than just the Trojan War. It was so much more than just his belief that he would make it home to his wife. It was so much more than his son searching for him. It was so much more. It was just that unconditional faith in the fact that he kept working towards what he wanted, one foot in front of the other, day after day after day, year after year, no lie, to get to what he saw as, his accomplishment, and then utopia afterwards. So, I guess the moral of the story today is, I hope that if you go see that movie, The Odyssey, you are just as moved as I was, and you're going to pick up on the fact that he says that statement, God helps those who help themselves, how many times, his mantra, and think about it in your daily life where it could help you, even if it is that you got to get out of your car and stand on the side of the road so your husband can turn the car around without you being a negative Nelly next to him crying. So basic, but so true, right? And keeping your faith in your belief and how you are going to rise above, get ahead, do what's right for your team, your family, your core, you alone, right? Like everything that we do on a regular basis, we do have to think of ourselves first, and sometimes before others. It's just like the whole thing with the airplane, put the oxygen mask on you before you go help someone else. It's kind of like the same thing. You got to help yourself to get to a better place before you can ever help anybody else get to that better place too. So I hope this podcast made sense, because I did talk about a lot of different things, and I was really just moved by that movie. It has a special place in my heart now, and I'm probably going to go see it again because it was that good. That good. I never fell asleep. I stayed awake, and it was awesome. All right, people. I hope this podcast gave you some form of something today. I hope that I inspired you to think about things a little bit differently. And if you don't already, hit the subscribe button. It helps me grow, and it helps the podcast grow. And if you have a friend that you feel like could hear this and benefit from it, share it with them and tell them to subscribe. I am not going to be here next week. We are taking a family trip, and I'm totally going to enjoy my time with them. So I'm signing off for 2 weeks, and I'll see you when I come back. And thank you, as always, for listening. And give me a follow on social media. The links will be below. And I'll see you in 2.